Hi, my name is Phoebe.
I'm Evan.
I'm Shari.
The goal of our project is to show how the U.S. foreign policy ideology of the time dictated the American response and outcome in the Korean War.
The Korean War began on June 25, 1950, when the North Korean army invaded across the Freyja Parallel into South Korea.
To present the different concepts that influenced the war, we made laser-cut wood pieces that visually represented the different factors.
Under the Truman Doctrine, the U.S. government was compelled to provide support in any necessary capacity to stop the growth of communism in the Allied or militarily weak countries. Okay.
This bridge piece on our board is located right on the border between North and South Korea. There's a step missing on the bridge, and that piece is communicating the efforts to stop the spread of communism, and that's sort of what it's trying to show.
Because the US and South Korea were trying to stop the spread of communism, the North and South Korean flags are not on their own side to show that the North and South are attempting to fight back and invade one another.
The invasion by the North into South Korea was a clear attempt at the expansion of communist principles, therefore requiring a response under the Truman Doctrine. To show the invasion of the North and South Korea, it is shown right over here as a fist with lots of tiny little ants surrounding it. Usually when a person thinks of an invasion, one of the ideas that could be thought about is bugs taking over, and that visual idea is right over here.
The Soviet Union were the ones behind the invasion. In North Korea, there's a head with a brain to represent the influence of the Soviet Union since they were the brain of it all. Soviet Union contribution to this war was very vital. They were the one who planned the invasion in South Korea. They provided diplomatic support, strategic and tactical planning, and physically they trained and supplied all the air forces of China and North Korea.
The bombed-out house in the north represents the collateral damage incurred by both sides during the war and how an ideological conflict can manifest itself physically. There were over 5 million casualties incurred on both sides of the conflict. The incomprehensible loss of life during the conflict cannot only be thought of as statistics. It was also a cataclysmic social event, killing off 10% of the pre-war population and leaving an unfilled hole in the fabric of Korean society after the war. These deaths are represented literally by the silhouettes of dead bodies on the ground on both sides.
The Korean War left both North and South Korea in shambles. Up to 70% of the people that died were civilians. Both North and South Korea were left in poverty after the war. However, South Korea was hindered by political upheavals. Syngman Rhee was unable to create a stable political system to take South Korea out of poverty. The habanero chujuensis is here and is wilted to represent the broken social fabric in the South Korea after the war.
The crates distributed for the continent are filled with weapons to represent the military strength of each side. The crate in the South has more weapons in it to represent the technological advantage that the South had with the assistance from the United States, even though the North had an advantage in terms of the sheer number of troops they had. It'll be really weird.
The human toll of the conflict was not the only loss. There were economic losses as well. The burning money hen located right here is to show the loss economically. South Korea spent about $325 billion on the war effort. The amount of money that North Korea spent on the war is unknown but very similar. But a positive economic outcome was that Korea's GDP went up significantly because of the government expenditure to support the war that stimulated industry and increased economic input.
With this project, we were able to answer our essential question of how did U.S. foreign policy ideology affect the American response and outcome of the Korean War. One of you.
Thanks for watching!